So let's talk about that comparison between Brisbane and Melbourne. People usually compare Sydney and Melbourne because two metro cities. But what's your opinion on Brisbane and Melbourne?
I don't know because I lived there only for 3 days.
Only 3 days. That's
Only
it.
thing,
Yeah.
so I remember I landed on there on I don't remember, but I think I landed there on Wednesday or somewhere. And I
Mhm.
think Saturday morning I left and came to Melbourne because I already scheduled a couple of interviews in Melbourne.
Mhm. All right.
And then
So
never
you
went
didn't
back.
live. You didn't live too much in there.
3 days.
Okay, cool. And then can you please share some memorable early days struggle and settlement things in Australia? So you came by yourself or you came with family?
No, first of all, I came by myself because our thinking was to once I get a job, then my wife and my then 2-year-old will join me here.
Right. So
Yeah.
when you get into here, how was the job finding? Was it easier? Like you said, you got some interviews in 3 days, which is pretty amazing. And how did that went?
No, I think it wasn't easy, and I guess that it isn't still easy for a new migrant to get into that. Though I think there is heaps of knowledge that is around there for migrants. I think migrants do have the advantage of LinkedIn and Facebook and WhatsApp and all these social media stuff, but also that there's a lot of depository of knowledge available about finding a first job in Australia. Back
Hmm.
in 2007, we didn't have smartphone, right?
Nothing.
We didn't have we did not have phones or anything
LinkedIn.
to help us go from A to B,
Yeah.
right? We had what we call mailways, which is like a
Yes.
thick book, and you have to really kind of go through everything and say, "Oh, where do I go from here to here?" And then you have to turn the page. So it
Oh
was
my goodness.
quite difficult, but at the same time, I lived around close to the city, so I think that was the advantage where I did not have to worry about commuting as much because I can walk to Flinders Street for 15 minutes and then I can go from there anywhere, right?
Mhm.
Obviously, living with my wife's cousin and his friends was a great experience because they were all boys. It's like living in engineering hostel all over
Hostel.
again. But in a foreign country, that meant that you still have to do bloody everything else, cook
Yeah.
and clean and go for grocery shopping and everything. But I think what struck to me initially was the way these guys worked, Australians. It's like 5 o'clock in the morning, 5:30 in the morning, and people are running and people are jogging and people are going to work. And that for for first 1 or 2 months, Krunal, I could not match that energy. Like I felt it is just beyond me. Like, how can you have coffee at 6 o'clock in the morning, 6:30 in the morning, and cafes are open to? So what is going on? I think language was probably the biggest challenge. Not,
Mm.
I think I spoke. I was doing a lot of presentation back in India in English too, but I felt that I was still unable to really understand their
Mm.
nuances in
The exact
in
accent.
communication. I think it was difficult. Having said that, even so, what I did was I got a book of slangs at that time, which was a great one. I bought a $10 book of slang or Aussie slang. That was really good, and I think I would have read that for 2 more years because
Oh.
it was really good. I think that it just gives you that Australian day-to-day language like fair income.
Mm.
That and I remember I asked one of the guy that, oh, I want to go and visit this place and how far where do I go? He said, yeah, just go to the Monash and just down the road from there. And I said, what do you mean by down the road?
On the road.
Like, and then I read on in the slang, it says that when somebody says down the road, that means go straight. Now, that could be 5 kilometers, it could mean 200 kilometers. That's what
Correct.
people say, down the road.
Down the
That's it.
road.
You know, I think language was one challenge. Then obviously, navigating the writing applications and talking to people and how it works was another minefield. And I'm sure that your listeners or you would have experienced the same thing. It's nothing unique uh, uh, unique to me. And I landed up my first job after 2.5 months into. And the first day of my job, I was living in South Melbourne, and my job was in Dandenong.
Oh,
And I remember, Krunal, for that particular job, for the interview, I walked for 1.5 hours because
one and a
when
half.
I landed
Ah,
up on Dandenong, yeah, because at that time, not having any electronic things with like phone or anything,
right.
like smartphone or anything. I remember when I went for the interview, I landed in Dandenong and it says Hammond Road, and it was Hammond Road is right in front of me. And I thought, bingo, that's a lottery.
Yeah.
Then I realized I have to go to 447 Hammond Road, which was hour and a half walk.
Oh,
So I walked there. And my boss asked me after the interview, he said, how did you come here? And I said, I walked. He said, what do you mean by you walked? I said, no, I meant that I walked from Dandenong station to here. So you're kidding me. I said, no, seriously, because there is no bus that comes at this point.
yeah.
So he came to drop me off to the station
After interview.
after the interview because he said, look, mate, you can't because it's 10 minutes drive for
Drive,
me.
10 minutes drive. Yeah.
And then when I started the job, I called a day before and I said, look, you'll have to come to pick me up at Dandenong station because I can't get there. I can be there an hour before or half an hour late. He said, don't worry, come to the station, I'll pick you up. He came as soon as we drove in the office and he looked at the car next to me, next to his car, and said, that's your car. And I said, yeah, sure. I didn't take that seriously. I said, yeah, sure. Who's going to give me this brand new car on the first day of the job, right? That's
Right.
ridiculous. So I go to his office. He shows me around. He gives me a laptop. He gives me diary and other stuff, and he gives me the car keys. And I'm freaking out inside. I've never driven the car in Australia, though I knew all. I had the
The
learners.
rules and yeah,
But I
regulations.
said he doesn't. And in my head, I'm freaking out, thinking that he doesn't think that I can drive this today, right? 5 o'clock, Krunal. I was still, and he said, "Come on, let's go." And I said, "Okay." And as soon as it was a brand new Holden Commodore, it's like a huge car. I've
Wow.
never driven that car before, right?
Yeah.
In India, I've driven Maruti, which is probably half the size of that. So I'm sitting in this car, right? And and I said there are no gears for like manual gears. And I called my friend. I said, "Hang on, man, I can't see gears." And he says, Rishabh, can you see R, D, N? I said, yeah. He said, just put it on D and drive. I
Drive. That's it.
said, okay.
Go.
So my boss opened. He said, look, you drove car in India. I said, yeah, no, I did. He said, that's right-hand drive, right? Yeah, yeah. Yeah. I drove from Dandenong to South Melbourne with my heart pumping
Pumping.
and straight onto the Monash freeway, and it started raining.
Oh
And I
my.
said, God, what's going to happen right now? I knew which exit do I have to take.
Hmm.
And my boss said, look, just follow me. I'm going to go on Turak Road exit and you're going to take Kingsway exit. My
Hmm.
eyes were completely fixated at the radio plate of my boss's car. And I'm freaking out in this car. And I got home and my friend said, oh, how did you come? He said, no, I came in car. I said, whose car? He said, this
Oh
car
my
company gave
God.
me. I said, you're kidding me. That's like a then I after that I found out that car was around $50,000 car. Like a
Wow.
big, for them, because it was a brand new. I think the car speedometer rate 35 kilometers.
Ooh.
So it was a brand new car. No, that was my like really,
Oh my God.
kind of
That's
that
amazing
experience.
experience. Yes.
So I think that was quite scary on the
Hmm.
first day of the job, but eventually you get over that and then you kind of move on from there. Yeah.
Yeah.